Hello everyone. Today I will be showing you how to perform the Doomsday Algorithm, which is a method for finding the days on which dates fall on uh, very quickly. So let us begin by going over what we need to know. So first off, we the Doomsday Algorithm works by knowing three specific things. Number one is the anchor day, and this varies upon the century in which you're trying to find your date. For example, the current century, which is from 2000 to 2099, the anchor day for that is Tuesday. And then if you go on to the next century, for example, 2100 to 2199, the anchor day is a Sunday. Now, these anchor days repeat every 400 years because the Gregorian calendar repeats every 400 years. So in this case, we'd have the 1800s, 1800 to 1899 as Friday, and the century from which most people are alive from the 1900s, from 1900 to 1999. That is, its anchor day is a Wednesday. So the anchor days repeat in this pattern of Friday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and then Sunday. Alright, so once we know the anchor day we're gonna find a day known as the Doomsday. So now, what is the Doomsday? Well, the Doomsday is essentially the day of the week on which key dates fall on. And a good way to remember some key dates that fall on Doomsdays is by remembering that for the even months after February. So, for example, we have April, um, June, August, October, and December. We can pair them up with their corresponding dates. So, for example, April 4th, June 6th, August 8th, October 10th, and December 12th. And it's quite easy to remember them because they form the dates like this. For the odd months, so for example, May, uh, July, September, and November, we can use the following sentence, which states that I work 9 to 5 at 7-Eleven. Now, how this works is that from your 9 to 5, you get the date 9/5. You also get the date 5/9. So, depending on your country, this can either mean September 5th or May 9th, either of these. So those are two dates you have to remember. And then for 7-Eleven, similarly, we can have 7/11 and 11/7. Again, July 11th and November 7th. Now for February we have we remember the last day of February. So on non-leap year days, it's going to be February 28th is the Doomsday, and on leap year days, it's going to be February 29th. Those will be the corresponding Doomsdays. Um, for January, we have to remember January 3rd, and for non-leap year Doomsdays, and January 4th for leap year Doomsdays. So it's actually not really hard to memorize. You have 5 of the months here, you have another 4 of the months here, and then you have the other additional 2 months here. We also have for March. March, how we remember is we remember Pi Day, so which is 3 dash 14 or 14-3 depending on your country, because it's 3.14159 is pi, and so you have 3 dash 14, which you can remember quite easily. So once we know a few key dates on the doomsdays, we can essentially backtrack or go ahead in terms of counting days respective to the doomsdays, and from there we can find any date that we wish to find. So I'll just go over an example. Let's say we want to find the date. How about this? January 1st, 2020. We want to find the day on which January 1st, 2020 happened. Now, since 2020 is a leap year, we know that January 4th will be the doomsday. And then, so in order to reach January 1st, we have to backtrack 3 days. So now, first we have to find out the doomsday for 2020. Now, the procedure for finding the doomsday is, it might seem complicated at first, but it's actually quite easy. And we'll do some more examples in order to make it more clear. So we take the last 2 digits of the year, in this case it's 20, and then we divide by 12. So if we divide by 12, we get 1 remainder 8. So in this case, 1 is the 4 of the operation and 8 is the remainder. And so we take these and then we take the remainder and we divide by 4. And then we get 2. So we take this 2 and then we add all of these numbers up here. So we add the 1, we add the 8, and then we add the 2. So we have 1 plus 8 plus 2, which is 11. Then we want to get it as low as possible, so we subtract 7 in this case. We will always keep subtracting 7 until we get a number where we can't subtract 7. So in this case, we get 4. This means that the doomsday is 4 days ahead of the anchor day of the century. So the anchor day of the century from 2000 to 2099 is Tuesday. So that means if we were to find the doomsday, it'd be Saturday. So now that we know that the doomsday is Saturday, we can go back the 3 days that we found at the beginning to find what day of the week it was. So if you go back, we get Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday. So January 1st of 2020 was a Wednesday. So this is pretty interesting because even though it does seem complicated, it's actually you're performing 2 divisions, 2 really simple divisions here and here, and then you're just adding 3 numbers and subtracting groups of 7 and then counting. So it's actually not that complex as some people might think, and we'll just go over a few more examples. So let's say you want to find something in the 1900s. Let's say you want to find the day July 23, 1953. Alright, and we want to find what day of the week was it. So again, we take the last 2 digits, which is 53, divide them by 12, and we get 4 remainder 5. Now we take 5, divide by 4, we get 1, remainder 1. We ignore the remainder and we just care about the one here. So now we add our respective all our 3 numbers. So we have 4 plus 5 plus 1 equals 10. Subtract 7, so we get 3. Now the reason why I'm subtracting 7 is just because if you had 10 days, right, it's basically you're counting 10 days after the anchor day. And since weeks repeat in multiples of 7, you can subtract out multiples of 7 in order to get the number of days you have to count. Because the counting 10 days forward would be the same as counting 3 days forward and so on. So we have 3 days here, and now we know that the anchor day for the 1900s to 1999 was Wednesday. So we can find out the doomsday by going ahead 3 days, which is Saturday. So now we know that the doomsday is a Saturday. We can find out what day July 23rd was on. So if you look at July 23rd, from our memorization, we know that 7/11 or 11/7, depending on your country. Uh, we know that July 11 is a doomsday. And if you go ahead, we know that July 18 is also doomsday. And then July 23rd is 5 days after that. Um, so since we know it's 5 days after that, we can also go back 2 days from the doomsday, because if you go 5 days ahead in the week, it'd be the same thing as going back 2 days. We still get the same day, so we can just go back 2 days from the doomsday, which is easier because you're counting less. So we go back 2 days from Saturday, so we get Thursday. So we know that July 23rd of 1953 was a Thursday, and if you want, you can go check that on your calendars. Now, why is this useful, you may ask? Well, it's quite handy having a calendar on you at all times, and oftentimes we don't really think about it. If someone asks us, "Oh, what day of the week this date is on particular," now we may pull out our phones and scroll a little bit before finding it. But using this method, you never have to pull out your calendar, and it's a lot more fun. In the beginning, it may seem a bit complicated, but it's not. It's not really that complicated. You just have to memorize those key days for the doomsday, and then you just have to memorize the anchor days, which repeat every 400 years. So let's do one more final example just to help clarify everything. Let's take today's date, which is April 20, 2020. So assuming that we didn't know what day of the week it was, which some of us may not know because we have completely lost track of time because of quarantine, you may want to try to look at a calendar and try to find it, or we could just apply this algorithm. So 2020, again, take the last 2 digits, and in this case we already calculated the doomsday from the previous question. Now when we did the January 1st calculation, so we already know that the doomsday is Saturday, so you don't even have to do the step with the anchor day. And then we know that April 4 is a doomsday, so we can add on 7 to get 11, another 7 to get 18. And we know that April 20th is 2 days after April 18th, so we go Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which is correct because it is Monday today. So I hope you enjoyed learning about this algorithm. And since I'm in quarantine right now, I don't really have much to do. So I'm planning to make more videos about interesting topics that I may find. If you want to learn more, then feel free to leave a comment asking about what topic you'd like to learn. Currently, I'm thinking about some space science topics, but whatever topics you would like seeing.